How's it going, everybody? My name is RoShawn. Some of you may know me, a lot of you may not. But as a kid, I was sucked into the system. At the age of 17, world actually turned upside down. And I didn't realize how my world would turn upside down as a kid when I got sucked into the system behind a false accusation until I was older. But today we are not here to talk about me. I have Carol Baker here. We're gonna talk to her. Let her tell you a little bit about her and her story. I want you to hear how the system has affected her when it comes to housing and the job cycle. Carol?
Yes.
So how old were you when you first got sucked into the system?
When I was introduced to the criminal justice system, I was the age of 13. And I think I spent maybe 30 days or so in what was called a girls' school at that time. I think it was girls' school or state school for girls or something of that nature, but this was in another state, mind you. When I was thoroughly introduced to the criminal justice system was when I moved here to Houston in 2009. Moved here from Providence, Rhode Island, and moved directly to Fort Bend County, Sugar Land. When I left Sugar Land and moved to Houston in 2010, I was arrested and charged for a felony. And there was really no hard evidence. It was just based on where I was working at that time. I was working in a pain clinic off of Hillcroft that was not accredited, nor was it licensed. And being that I was the office manager of that particular clinic, the investigator said that if I didn't know, I should have known that it was not licensed. So that's more or less what gave me my felony charge, which was considered a state jail felony, which I had never heard of state jail felony. I mean, it was a felony or it wasn't a felony. And so, anytime there was,
sorry guys. Don't
No
you
worries.
You guys doing it like
Yeah, come on.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Oh my god. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
sorry.
Time.
Wow.
Sorry, folks. It's good. It's good.
You're doing very well.
Yeah, so that was very devastating to me because when I moved here with the intent of completing my BSc and RN. Texas Medical Centers were attracted me and my family here. My husband and I both had a background in the healthcare profession. So I had 2 years towards the BSc and RN, and I wanted to wrap it up with a nurse practitioner license. So that put a damper on that for sure. And coming out of state jail, I did 6 months state jail time in Dayton, Texas. Nothing that I could have ever even imagined. No place that I could never even imagine being any female being. It was very, very devastating. The conditions were just very inhumane conditions. So when I touched back down in Houston, I was very grateful and was ready to move on with my life and wanted to get back into the profession. At that time, I was a certified medical assistant and phlebotomist, and couldn't seem to get a job. Not only with my skill set, but and the experience that I had in the profession, but simply because I had a felony on my record. But I was told that it was just a state jail felony. So I'm like, there's a difference, right? And well, no, there isn't a difference. You either have a misdemeanor or a felony, but from what I experienced altogether was that even with the misdemeanor, there were, one could have could be denied employment. So with state jail felony, first offense, no one cared about it being a first offense. No employer would even stop and take a look at that. It was the fact that I had a criminal background, period.
Let me ask you this. The first time you were sucked into the system, you was 13 years old.
I was 13.
And at the age of 13, you did 30 days.
30 days.
And the last time you caught a charge, it was actually 2009, or what did you say?
No, it was 2010.
2010, which is
Yes.
almost 10 years ago.
Which is almost 10 years
You
ago.
did 6 months.
Mind you, yes, I did 6 months on that. I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Mind you, though, I was dragged into taking a plea deal in 2012 for being in the car with a group of people. Well, not a group of people. It was me, my husband, who was taking someone to the pharmacy to pick up a prescription for a family member, and come to find out, the prescription was not. The doctor said that he didn't know the patient, so it was considered a fraudulent prescription.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone in the car was charged with the felony for obtaining a prescription by fraud, based on criminal background, mind you.
This was 10 years ago.
This was in 2012. This was in 2012. So I have one that's more current than 2010. So
Okay.
that makes two instead of just the one. So that led to homelessness. Not realizing or not knowing that criminal background could play such a major role in whether or not a person can receive housing. I was blown away, you know, and it has followed me for years. I have been chronically homeless since 2012, based on criminal background. I am in the process now of looking for housing, and for example, yesterday I went to a property, and never mind the full criteria of that's required to to put a lease in place. They were concerned strictly, never said anything about credit, didn't say nothing about credit, didn't say anything about credit score, didn't say anything about employment. The first thing out of their mouth was, do you have a background? But it shouldn't matter if I have a background. We all have a background.
Right.
You know, when I went before City Council last year in June and spoke to the mayor about his Way Home project, and I spoke to City Council members, I pointed to each and every one of them and reminded them that each and every one of you that sit there, you have a background. It may be not considered one that's something that you knowingly or intentionally committed, when you committed a crime, but even if something as simple as being that little girl or that little boy hiding under the covers at 2 o'clock in the morning, listening to your mama scream because your dad gets beating the hell out of her because he's an alcoholic, because he's a drunk. You have a background. You still remember those screams even right today. Those things, that one particular thing can plague you all your life. So we all have some sort of a background.
Even with that, I mean, nobody's perfect. Everybody do things. A lot of things they do, they don't get caught for, you know. But how long should, even if you did something to get sucked into the system, how long should that follow you?
Once you do your time, it's done.
That's what
It's over.
It should be, huh?
It's over. And I know, from standing in a few other states, I know other states that after you have completed your sentence, you come off parole, probation, or what have you, that particular charge is no longer made accessible. It's no longer part of the public record. It's made available to the courts if you happen to commit another crime. But for an employer or apartment community to just go and run a criminal background check on you, it's not going to come up because your time is done. It's finished. It's complete.
Yeah.
It's over.
I mean, for a background to continuously hold you back from housing or employment, how does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel like it almost makes. I was gonna say it almost makes me feel like I'm trying to cross the border or something. But it makes me feel like almost, it could make one feel like that they're not worthy, but the difference is I know that I'm worthy. There's nothing that anyone can make me believe to make me even guess about whether or not I'm worthy, because I know that I am. Housing is a right. It's not a privilege. It's not something to have to be qualified, that you have to qualify for. Housing is a right. Without it, you can't. There's no way to progress. There's no way to. It's almost no way to function without it.
If you want to get technical, you ask me. I believe to deny people of housing should be unconstitutional.
I feel the same way.
I mean, like, there is no way that anybody should be able to deny somebody of housing because of a record you may have got 5 years from now, 7 years from now, or 10 years from now, or 20 years ago. It's like, what gives you the right to tell me I cannot live in this neighborhood because I've been sucked into the system 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago,
Or
3 years
1 year ago.
A year ago.
Yes.
You know, it's like, if you don't give me a place to live, what do you expect me to do?
What do you expect? That's
I
why
mean,
I'm
like, this is the beginning of recidivism. And like you said, everybody needs housing. But it's as if like somebody needs to create a protected class. You know,
I
like,
agree.
criminal records give people the right to oppress you, obviously, but it's like it's a different type of racism.
It's a different type of racism. It's discrimination. It's undisclosed. I call it an undisclosed form of discrimination. Is what it is. Because you're telling me that just because I have a criminal background, again, I'm not worthy to be on your property. I'm not. I'm really. I almost can't really put it in words because there are no words to say why a person cannot be housed, why they can't have protected shelter, why they can't have a roof over their head at night. You know, a shelter is one thing, but to have a key in your hand to actually go in and access something that actually has your name on it, and close that door behind you and lock that door. You go in and you sit back and you kick your feet up and you do what it is that you choose to do, or you do whatever it is within your routine to do from the time you enter to the time you exit. I mean, that's for you to tell me that I can't do that, I can't have access to that, it's almost telling me that I can't have access to life. Because that's a part of it. It all comes together, it all works together.
You know, one of the saddest parts to me about denying somebody of housing or employment or telling somebody what you will not pay them because of a criminal record, the saddest part to me is outside of people being denied that may have made a mistake and served their time and still get denied. But even sadder is those that get sucked into the system that should not have been sucked into the system for whatever reason, and then that criminal record hold them back too. It's like nobody should be discriminated against because of a record. A record shouldn't even define who you are.
It doesn't.
But yet, that's how they define us, through a criminal record.
Exactly. And it's almost, it almost, if a person is not careful, if we're not careful, it will make a person look at themselves in a particular type of way. You know, especially for the individual that is not as strong as the next one may be. They may feel that, hey, I don't have it, I'll never have a chance, they'll never give me a chance, so I might as well just go back to doing what I know to do, what I know that's gonna work. You know, which again, you know, which goes back to what you said, it begins it begins that cycle now. You know, that person they're gonna return to the streets or whatever it is that they were doing, selling drugs or whatever it may be, or whatever it was said that they had did, but the courts may not have had hard evidence to say that they actually did it, because what the courts do, or what they did with me was, they said that, well, ma'am, this was in 2012, based on what they found in 2010, they said, well, ma'am, you have a criminal background. You're not gonna get a bond. Okay, this is after sitting here 90 days already. You're not gonna get a bond. Mind you now, after 90 days, you're supposed to go before the judge, and whether it be a public defender or court-appointed attorney, they're supposed to ask the judge to give you a bond. I was never offered a bond. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, that's law. This is what they're supposed to do after you've been sitting in jail on a no bond for 90 days. Okay. I sat in jail 6 months, and they came to me with a plea deal, thinking, oh, she's been here 6 months, I'm sure she's ready to get out. We're not gonna give her a bond, so she's gonna take this plea. And it was, of course, it was during that time when private prisons was big, or they were selling beds, more or less. So the public defender was like, okay, Ms. Baker, the judge is not gonna give you a bond. They'll offer you X amount of months to stay in jail, and you either take the, I think it was 10 months, or they're gonna give you 10 years privacy. You know, but here I am. My husband had committed suicide while I was incarcerated, while I was in the county. Okay, he committed suicide. I wasn't there to hold him down because he was a Gulf War veteran. Suffered tremendously from PTSD, schizophrenic, and manic depression. Okay, so at this point, you know, I felt like I had already lost everything anyway. So, and I feel like that the criminal justice system had allowed, that they played a part in all of that being taken away from me. You know, by not giving me a bond. And then telling me that I really don't have any choices here. You either take the plea, or you take this, or you take that, because you're not gonna get out. Either way, I'm not gonna get out. But with the plea, I can get out a little earlier. You know, so it's like they play games with you. It's like a game was played with my life at that time. And so I was more or less forced to take a plea deal. You know, but when you go to these places and you apply for these apartments and you apply for a job, they don't ask you what happened. What happened to why you were charged with this, or why you were convicted of this. Like I said before, there was no hard evidence to say I had did anything. Because the law says that you have to, that a person, that I had to knowingly and intentionally go to attempt to pick up a fraudulent prescription. How was I to know it was a fraudulent prescription? I'm not the doctor, I'm not the pharmacist. Someone should have told me that it was. As far as I'm concerned, if it's a fraudulent prescription, then don't pass it across the counter. It goes back to the pharmacist as well. So the first person that should have been looked at was him. He the one passed it off to me. So, I mean, you know, it's just crooked all the way around, you know, and I say all that to say that I'll go back to, you know, when you're looking for employment and you're looking for a job after you've done your time, or completed your probation or parole, the employer or the property manager of these apartments, they don't ask you what happened. What happened, Carol? Just give me the story. Just spit it out. You know, I really want to know more about why this is on your record, and see if there's something that they're more concerned about what you did in your past versus what you have done since you have come out of the system, so to speak, come out of the system and tried to turn your life around. They don't look at your successes or the achievements that you've made since then. And I don't understand why a person's criminal background plays such an important role, as in especially when it comes to employment and housing. It doesn't make sense.
Well, let me ask you this. If you had the opportunity to change one thing about the criminal justice system, what would it be? How would you change?
It's going to have to be more than one thing, that's for sure. Because it's going to take actually more than one thing, but no, I know that what's going to have to be changed is, I think a bill is going to have to be written and passed to put some type of seal on a person's record, okay, after they have completed their parole, probation, whatever stipulations they have once they've come out of prison. That record needs to be sealed. It no longer needs to be a public record open to the public, okay? Because a lot of the offenses that people are charged for are so minor anyway.
What about heavy charges like murder?
Murder,
Or rape?
murder or rape. I believe.
that heavy. You know, I'm taking it to the extreme, but like, say somebody, you know, get out. They are a murderer.
Mhm.
They commit crimes for whatever reason. They commit the crimes, or a rapist, whatever, and they come home. Do you think that it should be like after they complete their time in prison, complete their parole or probation? Do you think that their record should be sealed too?
I think the record should be sealed too. I think I think it should be the same all the way across the board.
It's either do or
Because
don't.
it's either do or don't. Whatever you do, we're talking about fairness here. We're talking about equality. We're talking about ending the disparity. Is what we're talking about here. That's a great word. And so it doesn't just stop with the misdemeanor or the felon or the sex offender. It's all the way across the board because everybody deserves the same chance. Whether it be your second, third, or fourth, everybody still deserves the same chance.
Mm-hmm.
There's no differences here. None.
It's
I
good.
mean, we're gonna do it, we might as well do it all the way or don't do it at all.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Did you have any last words you want?
Yeah, I think those who have been, not just have been, but those who, those who have been affected, those who are presently affected, family members, friends, neighbors, that have been a part of the criminal justice system, and I think it's time for all of us to come forward. We need to band together, and we need to let the system know itself the trauma that it caused in our lives, because it causes trauma, daily trauma. You know, having to sleep at the bus stop and having to sleep in, in the park, on park benches, and on the sidewalks. That's no place for a woman or a man, especially a woman. Shelters are not always inviting. Shelters are not always providing. It seems to be more of a business now than anything. But it's gonna take all of us coming together to make this change occur, to get this bill written, and to put weight on it. It's gonna have to be some weight put on it, and we are the weight that will change the course, the whole course, not just a portion of it, because it's gonna be effective, not just in one particular area, but housing, employment, the way they look at people before they're sentenced. But we've got to start somewhere, and it starts with us, past, present, family members that may have a family member that's already sitting in the county jail. We just all need to come together and speak up and speak out, and then that's what it's going to take, because we all have a voice. We all have a voice.
Well, on that note, get involved in your community. Get out and get involved in any type of reform. If it's going in a positive direction, criminal justice reform, get involved. Like Carol said, if we're gonna make positive change, no matter what kind of change it is, we need all hands in. Don't wait until injustice knock at your door, particularly before you want to get involved into trying to change the particular part of the system that is about to affect you or is affecting you. Get involved in progressive change for everybody today. That way it's less likely that you will have to worry about some of the same issues that some of us go through daily that you haven't felt yet. Get involved so people that's just like you, that's coming up behind you, don't have to possibly feel how the system can turn a world upside down. Get involved, find you a local organization in the community that's working to create progressive change for the people. Like, you got all sorts of organizations. You got Texas Advocates for Justice. You got TOP, Texas Organizing Project. You got groups like Second Chance. You know, you got all types of groups here, right here in Harris County that you can get involved in to make a difference in your community, like Pure Justice. So if you want to get involved, find a local organization, get involved. Let's make some progressive change before the injustice system come knocking at our door. If you want to get involved in an organization like Pure Justice, you can visit the website at purejustice.org. That's PUREJUSTICE.org. You can contact us straight from the website, or you can actually call us at 713-370-7490. And thank you for watching. And once again, if you want progressive change, get involved and make sure you get out and you go vote. Local elections especially, they are the most important. So when election time comes, get out and you go vote.
I do agree. I do agree. Train starts now.
See you all soon.